Welcome to today's Explainer. If you've ever wanted to peek behind the curtain of how the digital world really operates, well, you're absolutely in the right place. Today, we're unpacking a pretty fascinating technical tug of war that's happening on campuses globally. How and why students bypass campus network restrictions using proxies. It's a topic that sits right at the intersection of network security, digital freedom, and online privacy. We have all been there, right? You're sitting in class, or maybe you're deep into a late night study session in the library, and you click a link only to hit a massive digital brick wall. You can't access the website you need because your school has completely blocked it. It's an incredibly frustrating real-world scenario. One minute you're researching, and the next you're completely locked out. So what happens next? How do people actually get around that wall? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. Here's our roadmap. We're looking at the campus firewall problem, meeting the proxy middleman, bypassing school network monitoring, browsing anonymously at school, and finally, the free proxy trap. Let's jump right in. Section 1. The campus firewall problem. You know, system admins have a genuinely tough job curating a campus network. They frequently block everything from YouTube and gaming to music streaming and explicit content. And to be totally fair to the schools here, these restrictions are usually put in place with the absolute best of intentions, to protect younger students from inappropriate material, and honestly, to stop older students from getting hopelessly distracted by social media during study hours. But here's the rub. What happens when these well-meaning firewalls become major roadblocks for legitimate research? When a crucial documentary on YouTube is blocked, that protection suddenly turns into a massive penalty. Section 2. Meet the proxy middleman. So when the front door is locked, technically savvy students look for a side door. Think of a proxy server as your digital personal assistant. It acts as a middleman, standing right between your device and the rest of the internet. Instead of your web request going straight to the web server, which, by the way, the school firewall would immediately see and block, your request goes to the proxy first. The proxy then turns around and politely asks the web server for the information on your behalf. Let's map out this data flow step by step. Step 1, you send a request to the proxy. Step 2, the proxy intercepts this and swaps out your real IP address for its own. Step 3, the proxy requests the actual web page from the destination site. And finally, step 4, the proxy sends the page back to you. The absolute key takeaway here is that the end website never directly interacts with your device. And your school firewall, it only ever sees you talking to the proxy, not the forbidden website. Section 3. Bypassing school network monitoring. Why go through all this trouble just to get around school rules? Well, the motivations go way beyond just wanting to secretly check social media during a lecture. Students use proxies to access those blocked sites, to stop invasive network monitoring, to access out-of-region sites, which is huge for international students, and just a fundamental desire to browse anonymously. It's really about taking control of your own digital footprint while you're connected to a highly monitored public network. To drill down on that monitoring piece for a second, proxies effectively blind the school's IT department. By hiding your real IP address, you're essentially throwing on a digital disguise. Some schools actively monitor online activities to see when users even attempt to hit firewall restrictions. But with a proxy in place, the network admin might see that traffic exists, but they literally can't see what the content is or where it's ultimately going. And this brings up a really powerful point. As our sources explicitly note, there are millions of educational videos on YouTube, which can provide students with essential information. This really highlights a massive flaw in blanket bans, doesn't it? If someone is trying to learn complex calculus or visualize a historical event, YouTube is arguably one of the greatest educational resources in human history. When schools block it entirely, they aren't just blocking distractions, they are actively inhibiting learning. This sets up a fascinating tug of war, breaking school rules versus accessing educational resources. On one side, you have the argument that bypassing network rules violates user agreements. Students agree to a code of conduct when they log into the Wi-Fi, right? On the other side, you have the practical reality that rigid access restrictions can act as an archaic inhibitor to modern education. Many argue that if a student is jumping through these hoops simply to access learning materials, the strict rules are actually getting in the way of the learning itself. It's a really tricky balance between institutional control and intellectual freedom. Moving right along to Section 4, browsing anonymously at school. Online privacy is a massive deal right now. Whether we're at home or at school, protecting personal data is absolutely critical. Because the proxy uses a pseudonym IP address, the destination server only sees the proxy's location. The destination server literally thinks someone totally different in a totally different place is accessing the website. This grants the user true online anonymity, making sure their personal data and browsing habits aren't being tracked and cataloged by third parties or the school itself. This opens up a super practical application: geographical flexibility. Imagine you're an international student spending a semester overseas. You might find that your host country enforces strict, national-level access constraints that block your favorite news sites from back home. By using a proxy, you can just select a real IP address located in your home country. Suddenly, the internet behaves as if you were sitting right back in your own living room, bypassing those host country constraints entirely. But, and this is a very big but, it's not all smooth sailing. Section 5, the free proxy trap. Make no mistake, school IT departments are not completely oblivious to this. They actively prohibit proxy sites, and they hunt for their usage on the network to enforce their policies. Their stated goal is to protect student well-being and maintain academic focus. And if you're caught actively circumventing network security, there can be some pretty serious disciplinary consequences. So, how do people actually get caught? Usually by falling into the free proxy trap. While it's incredibly tempting for a student on a budget, our sources strongly warn against them. Free proxies are less secure, highly unreliable, and super easy for network admins to trace. They are basically a massive security liability. On the other hand, paid services, specifically residential proxies, use genuine device IP addresses. This makes them incredibly stealthy and much, much harder to detect. To understand why, we just need to look at the technical difference between the two main types. Data center proxies give you a random IP address generated in a massive server farm. School firewalls are actually very good at recognizing those blocks of artificial IPs and flagging them. Residential proxies, however, route your connection through the actual IP address of a real, physical device, like someone's home Wi-Fi router. To the school's monitoring software, a residential proxy just looks like a regular, everyday internet user, allowing you to blend perfectly into normal network traffic. And that brings us to the end of our journey today. It really leaves us with a provocative question to chew on. Where exactly is the line between campus network security and student digital freedom? Is it fair for an institution to dictate exactly what digital resources a student can access? Or does true education require unrestricted access to the entirety of the web? It's a highly complex issue with no easy answers, but understanding the technology behind the proxies gives you a much clearer view of the battlefield. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll catch you in the next one.